Marcus Gray's heart pounds as he stands before the ornate doors of Princess Sayla's private chambers. The Earth diplomat knows his next actions will determine whether humans demonstrate self-pleasure techniques to alien royalty. He takes a deep breath, steeling himself for the unconventional diplomatic encounter ahead. The doors swing open, revealing a room that defies human architecture. Bioluminescent crystals cast an ethereal glow across sweeping archways of an alien metal. At the center, Princess Sayla reclines on a dais, her iridescent scales shimmering with each subtle movement. Her piercing gaze locks onto Marcus as he enters. "Approach, human Marcus," Sayla commands, her voice a mix of authority and curiosity. Marcus steps forward, acutely aware of the panel of Draconis scientists observing from the shadows. Their reptilian features betray no emotion, but their eyes gleam with scientific interest. "You have been chosen for a crucial diplomatic mission," Princess Sayla states, rising to her full height. She towers over Marcus, her presence both regal and intimidating. The fate of Earth-Draconis relations hangs in the balance. Marcus nods, his diplomatic training kicking in despite the unusual circumstances. "I'm honored to serve, Your Highness. How may I assist in fostering our alliance?" Sayla's lips curl into what Marcus assumes is a smile. "We must assess human physiology and mating practices. You will demonstrate human self-pleasure techniques before me and my scientific advisors." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. He blinks, certain he's misheard. "I beg your pardon, Your Highness? Is this request unclear?" Sayla tilts her head, genuinely puzzled by his hesitation. Marcus's mind races. He's navigated complex negotiations before, but nothing in his training prepared him for this. The fate of humanity's standing in the galactic community rests on his willingness to perform an intensely personal act. "Your compliance is vital," Sayla continues, sensing his internal conflict. "We must understand human biology to determine compatibility for potential interspecies relations. Rival alien races vie for our alliance. Earth's cooperation could secure a powerful ally in ongoing interstellar conflicts." The weight of the situation settles on Marcus's shoulders. He's acutely aware of humanity's precarious position in the galaxy. This unorthodox request could be the key to ensuring Earth's safety and prosperity. "May I have a moment to collect my thoughts, Your Highness?" Marcus asks, his voice steadier than he feels. Sayla nods, her eyes never leaving him. As Marcus steps back, he notices a flicker of something beyond scientific inquiry in the princess's gaze. Is it possible her interest extends beyond mere diplomacy? Marcus weighs his options. Refusal could offend the Draconis, potentially jeopardizing Earth's future. Compliance, while deeply personal and uncomfortable, could secure a crucial alliance. He recalls his training, the emphasis on adaptability and sacrifice for the greater good. The chamber falls silent as all eyes focus on Marcus. The Draconis scientists lean forward, data pads at the ready. Princess Sayla waits expectantly, her tail swishing with barely contained anticipation. Marcus takes a deep breath. The next words out of his mouth will alter the course of human-alien relations forever. He straightens his posture, meeting Princess Sayla's gaze with newfound resolve. "Your Highness," Marcus begins, his voice echoing through the chamber. "In the interest of fostering understanding between our species, I am prepared to proceed with your request." "Your Highness," Marcus says, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "I understand the importance of this request for our diplomatic relations. I am prepared to proceed as you've asked." Princess Sayla's eyes widen slightly, a mix of approval and anticipation flickering across her reptilian features. "Excellent, human Marcus. Your cooperation will not be forgotten." She turns to the scientists, issuing a series of clicks and hisses in their native tongue. The panel nods in unison, gathering their equipment. "Follow me," Sayla commands, leading Marcus through a hidden door at the back of her chambers. They enter a corridor lined with the same bioluminescent crystals, casting everything in an otherworldly glow. Marcus's heart races as they approach another set of doors. These slide open silently, revealing a circular room dominated by a raised platform at its center. The walls are lined with various screens and monitoring devices, their purpose a mystery to the Earth diplomat. You will conduct your demonstration here, Sela explains, gesturing to the platform. Our scientists will observe and collect data from a discrete distance. Marcus nods, swallowing hard as he steps onto the platform. The surface is surprisingly warm beneath his feet, almost alive. He glances around, noting the Draconi scientists taking their positions around the room's perimeter, data pads at the ready. With trembling fingers, Marcus begins to unbutton his shirt. He can feel the weight of multiple gazes upon him, the clinical stares of the scientists, and the more intense scrutiny of Princess Sela. As he removes his clothing, piece by piece, he notices a change in the princess's demeanor. Sela moves closer, her tail swishing with nearly unleashed energy. Her eyes, previously filled with scientific curiosity, now hold a different kind of interest. She watches Marcus intently, her scales shimmering with increasing intensity as more of his skin is revealed. Completely exposed now, Marcus takes a deep breath. He closes his eyes, trying to focus on the task at hand rather than the alien audience surrounding him. Slowly, he begins to demonstrate human self-pleasure techniques. The room fills with the soft hum of monitoring equipment and the occasional tapping of data being entered. Marcus risks opening his eyes, immediately locking gazes with Princess Sela. She's moved even closer to the platform, her chest rising and falling rapidly. The bioluminescence of her scales pulses in rhythm with Marcus's movements. Suddenly, a piercing alarm shatters the charged atmosphere. Marcus's eyes fly open as the room is bathed in flashing red light. Before he can react, the doors burst open, and armored Draconis guards pour in. "Your Highness," one of them shouts, "we're under attack. The Adocians have breached our outer defenses." Chaos erupts in the chamber. The scientists scramble to secure their data while the guards form a protective circle around Princess Sela. Marcus, caught completely off guard, hastily grabs for his clothes. Sela's voice cuts through the commotion. "Enough!" she commands. The room falls silent. "I will personally escort the human to safety. The rest of you, to your stations." Without waiting for a response, Sela grabs Marcus's arm, pulling him towards a concealed exit. "Quickly," she hisses, "we must reach the secure bunker." They race through winding corridors, the sounds of distant explosions growing louder. The palace shakes, dust and debris raining down from the ornate ceilings. As they round a corner, a section of wall crumbles, forcing them to press against each other in a narrow alcove. In this moment of forced proximity, Marcus becomes acutely aware of Sela's alien physiology. Her scales are smooth against his skin, radiating an intense heat. Her breath, quick and shallow, carries an exotic scent he can't place. "The Adocians," Sela explains as they catch their breath, "have long sought to prevent an alliance between our peoples. They fear the combined strength of Earth and Draconis." Another explosion rocks the palace, closer this time. Sela grabs Marcus's hand, pulling him onward. They dodge panicked palace staff and rushing guards, ducking into alcoves when the shaking becomes too intense. Finally, they reach a heavily fortified door. Sela places her palm on a scanner, and the door slides open with a hiss. They stumble inside, finding themselves face to face with an imposing Draconis male. "Lord Zan," Sela addresses him, her voice a mix of relief and tension. The male, his scales bearing the marks of past battles, nods grimly. "Princess, the situation is worse than we feared. The Adocians' attack is unprecedented in its ferocity." His gaze shifts to Marcus, who suddenly feels very small under the scrutiny of the Draconis commander. "I believe they may be after your human guest. He would be a valuable bargaining chip in the current political climate." Marcus's mind reels at this revelation. He had come here prepared for an awkward diplomatic encounter, not to become a pawn in an interstellar war. The weight of his new role settles heavily on his shoulders. The bunker's communication system crackles to life, filling the room with static and panicked voices. Outer defenses breached. Adocians inside the palace, requesting immediate backup. Lord Zan's expression hardens. "We need to get the human off-world. It's our only chance of preserving the possibility of an Earth-Draconis alliance." "I'm going with you," Sela declares, her tone brooking no argument. "My scientific expertise and royal authority will be crucial for this journey." Zan looks like he wants to protest, But another explosion cuts him off. The bunker trembles, dust shaking loose from the ceiling. "Very well," he growls, moving to a hidden panel in the wall. It slides open, revealing an arsenal of Draconi's weapons. "Arm yourselves. We'll need to fight our way to the hidden spaceport." As Marcus takes a sleek, alien weapon in his hands, the reality of his situation hits him full force. He's about to attempt a daring escape from a besieged alien palace, caught between two warring species, with the fate of Earth's galactic standing hanging in the balance. He glances at Princess Sela, who's checking the charge on her weapon with practiced ease. Their eyes meet, and Marcus feels a surge of something beyond mere diplomatic duty. The intensity of their shared experiences has forged a connection he never expected. Lord Zan's voice cuts through Marcus's thoughts. "Ready yourselves. The moment we step out that door, we're at war." Marcus takes a deep breath, tightening his grip on the unfamiliar weapon. As Zan moves to disengage the bunker's locks, Marcus finds himself caught between his growing feelings for Sela, the weight of his responsibility to Earth, and the imminent danger that awaits them beyond the bunker's walls. The door begins to open, the sounds of battle growing louder. Marcus steels himself for what's to come, knowing that every step from this point on will shape the future of interstellar relations and his own destiny. Destiny. As the bunker door slides open, Marcus tightens his grip on the alien weapon, adrenaline surging through his veins. The trio emerges into chaos. The once ornate corridors of the Draconis Palace now lie in ruins, filled with smoke and the acrid smell of energy weapon discharge. Immediately, they're met with a barrage of fire from Adoshan infiltrators. "Take cover!" Lord Zan bellows, diving behind a fallen pillar. Marcus and Sela follow suit, crouching behind a twisted piece of metal that was once part of the ceiling. The unfamiliar weight of the Draconis weapon feels awkward in Marcus's hands, but he forces himself to focus. "Like this," Sela instructs, demonstrating the firing mechanism. Marcus nods, quickly adapting to the alien technology. They advance through the corridors, trading fire with the Adoshan forces. Marcus is surprised by how quickly he acclimates to the weapon, his shots becoming more accurate with each passing moment. As they round a corner, a stray Adoshan blast catches Lord Zan in the shoulder. He stumbles, hissing in pain. "I'm fine," he growls, but the injury clearly slows their progress. Marcus and Sela flank the wounded commander, supporting his weight as they continue their desperate push towards the hidden spaceport. Despite the dire circumstances, Marcus can't help but admire Sela's grace under pressure. Her scales shimmer with exertion, yet her movements remain fluid and precise as she alternates between supporting Zan and returning fire. "There!" Zan gestures towards an inconspicuous panel in the wall. "The secret passage." Sela presses her palm against the panel, revealing a hidden corridor. They stumble inside, the door sealing shut behind them, just as another wave of Adoshan troops rounds the corner. The passage leads them deep into the bowels of the palace. Emergency lights cast an eerie glow on the rough-hewn walls. Lord Zan's labored breathing echoes in the confined space. "We're almost there," Sela encourages, her voice tight with concern. They emerge into a vast underground hangar. Sleek Draconese ships line the walls, but any relief Marcus feels is short-lived. The hangar is already under attack, Adoshan forces pouring in through a breached security door. "To the scout ship," Zan orders, gesturing towards a small, agile-looking vessel near the far wall. They make a mad dash across the hangar floor, energy blasts sizzling past them. Halfway there, Lord Zan stumbles, his injury finally overcoming him. "Go!" he roars, turning to face the oncoming Adoshians. "I'll hold them off!" Marcus hesitates, but Sela grabs his arm, pulling him towards the scout ship. "We have to go," she insists, her eyes filled with anguish. His sacrifice cannot be in vain. They reach the ship just as the hangar's massive doors begin to close, triggered by the palace's automated defenses. Sela leaps into the pilot's seat, her fingers flying over the controls. "Strap in!" she yells as the engines roar to life. Marcus barely has time to secure himself before the ship lurches forward. Through the view screen, he watches in horror as Lord Zan falls under a hail of Adoshan fire. Sela's piloting is nothing short of miraculous. She weaves the scout ship through the chaos of the hangar, dodging debris and enemy fire alike. The closing doors loom before them, the gap narrowing with each passing second. "We're not going to make it," Marcus breathes, gripping his seat. Sayla doesn't respond, her focus absolute. At the last possible moment, she banks the ship on its side, squeezing through the rapidly diminishing opening. Metal screeches against metal as the doors scrape the ship's hull. They burst into open space, the glow of Draconis Prime filling the view screen. For a moment, Marcus allows himself to feel a glimmer of hope. Then alarms blare throughout the cockpit. "We've sustained damage," Sayla reports, her voice tense. "Multiple systems failing." The ship shudders violently as Sayla struggles to maintain control. Through the view screen, Marcus sees a gray, pockmarked surface rapidly approaching. "Nyx," Sayla explains. "The smaller moon. Brace for impact." The scout ship plummets through Nyx's thin atmosphere, trailing smoke and debris. Sayla manages to level their descent somewhat, but the landing is far from smooth. They skid across the barren, rocky surface, the ship's hull groaning in protest before finally grinding to a halt. Silence falls, broken only by the hiss of escaping atmosphere and the ping of cooling metal. Marcus unbuckles himself with shaking hands, turning to Sayla. "Are you all right?" She nods, already assessing their situation. "The ship is beyond repair. Life support is failing. We need to find shelter, quickly." They salvage what they can from the wreckage. Emergency rations, portable communication equipment, and a few other supplies. As they step out onto the moon's surface, the harsh reality of their situation becomes clear. Nyx's landscape is unforgiving, all jagged rocks and deep craters under a starlit sky. "There," Sayla points to a distant structure barely visible on the horizon. "An old mining outpost. It's our best chance for survival." They set out across the treacherous terrain, each step a challenge in the low gravity. The temperature drops rapidly as Nyx's brief day gives way to a long, punishing night. By the time they reach the abandoned outpost, both Marcus and Sayla are shivering violently. The outpost is a relic, its systems ancient and barely functional. Together, they work to restore power and life support, Marcus's human ingenuity complementing Sayla's knowledge of Draconis technology. As the temperature continues to plummet, they huddle together for warmth. Marcus is acutely aware of Sayla's alien physiology, the smooth texture of her scales, the intense heat radiating from her core. "The data we collected," Sayla says softly, breaking the silence. "It showed promising compatibility between our species. This could be the key to saving both humans and Draconis from genetic stagnation." Before Marcus can respond, a weak signal crackles through the outpost's newly activated communication array. The message is garbled, but distinctly Draconis in origin. "A rescue party?" Marcus asks hopefully. Sayla's expression is guarded. "Perhaps, or it could be an Adoshan trap." Their deliberation is cut short by a violent tremor that shakes the outpost. Loose equipment clatters to the floor as the vibrations subside. "Nyx's core," Sayla explains, her voice grim. "It's becoming unstable. We may have less time here than we thought." Marcus meets her gaze, seeing his own perseverance reflected in her alien eyes. They face a daunting array of challenges. The mysterious signal, Nyx's deteriorating condition, the ever-present threat of Adoshan pursuit, and the volatile connection growing between them. As another tremor rocks the outpost, Marcus and Sayla turn their attention to the communications array, knowing that their next decision could determine not only their fate, but that of their entire species. As another tremor rocks the outpost, Marcus and Sayla exchange a determined look. They know they can't remain idle any longer. "We need to investigate that signal," Marcus says, his voice steady despite the gravity of their situation. Sayla nods in agreement. "It's a risk, but it might be our only chance. Let's gather what we can from here first." They set about scavenging the old mining outpost, piecing together makeshift protective gear from discarded equipment. Marcus fashions a crude energy weapon from spare parts, while Sayla discovers a cache of outdated but functional communication devices. As they prepare to venture out, Sayla pulls up a holographic map of Nyx's surface. The signal seems to be coming from this region. She points to a cluster of deep ravines. It won't be an easy trek. They step out onto Nyx's unforgiving landscape, the weak gravity making each movement feel unnaturally light. Another tremor ripples through the ground, nearly throwing them off balance. The moon's becoming more unstable, Sela warns, her scales shifting hues in response to her unease. They pick their way across the treacherous terrain, skirting wide crevasses and scaling jagged rock formations. The alien sky above them is a tapestry of stars, dominated by the looming presence of Draconis Prime. As they near the coordinates of the signal, Marcus spots something out of place among the rocky outcroppings. There, he points. Does that look like an artificial structure to you? Sela squints, her enhanced vision picking out details invisible to human eyes. It's some kind of entrance, definitely not natural. They approach cautiously, wary of potential traps. The entrance is a smooth metallic door set into the rock face, partially obscured by millennia of dust and debris. Sela runs her hand over a faded insignia. This is old, she murmurs. Very old, predating our current era of spaceflight. Marcus examines the locking mechanism. Think we can get it open? Before Sela can respond, another violent tremor shakes the ground. A fissure opens up mere feet from where they stand, forcing them to leap back. We might not have a choice, Sela says grimly. We need shelter, fast. Working together, they manage to override the ancient locking system. The door groans open, revealing a dark passage leading deep into Nyx's core. They glance at each other, then at the increasingly unstable landscape around them. With no other options, they step into the unknown. The passage leads them into a vast underground chamber, filled with rows of antiquated computer banks and research stations. Sela gasps, her eyes wide with wonder. This is incredible, she breathes. An ancient Draconis research facility, perfectly preserved. Marcus moves to a central console, wiping away layers of dust. To his surprise, it flickers to life at his touch. Still operational, he marvels. But what were they researching here? Before Sela can respond, a holographic projection materializes in the center of the room. The flickering image of a Draconis scientist, clearly from eons past, begins to speak. If you are viewing this message, you have discovered the truth we were forced to hide, the hologram intones. Humans and Draconis are not separate species, but divergent branches of the same evolutionary tree. Marcus and Sela listen in stunned silence as the hologram details how a cosmic event millions of years ago separated their common ancestors, leading to parallel evolution on different worlds. This explains the genetic compatibility, Sela whispers, her mind racing with the implications. As the message concludes, the facility suddenly comes to life around them. Lights flash and security barriers slam into place, sealing them inside. It's a containment protocol, Sela realizes, rushing to a nearby terminal. The distress signal was a trap, designed to secure anyone who discovered this place. They work feverishly to deactivate the security systems, acutely aware of the intensifying tremors threatening to tear Nyx apart. As they race against time, Marcus finds himself hyper-aware of Sela's presence. The shared danger and the weight of their discovery have forged a connection between them that transcends their diplomatic roles. In a moment of respite between alarms, their eyes meet. The tension that has been building between them finally breaks. Marcus pulls Sela close, their lips meeting in a kiss that bridges millions of years of separate evolution. The moment is shattered by a piercing alarm. A monitor flashes to life, showing a familiar ship entering Nyx's orbit. Edotians, Sela hisses. They've found us. With renewed urgency, they redouble their efforts to escape the facility. As they work, they uncover another secret, a hangar containing an ancient but intact Draconis shuttle. Our ticket out of here, Marcus says, hope rising in his chest. They race to prep the shuttle for launch, even as the facility begins to crumble around them. A final gut-wrenching decision faces them. Take the data about their shared origins, risking it falling into Edotian hands, or destroy it to protect the secret. With seconds to spare, they make their choice. The shuttle's engines roar to life as they blast free of the collapsing facility. As they break through Nyx's thin atmosphere, they see the moon beginning to fracture behind them. But their ordeal is just getting started. The Adoshan scout ship looms ahead, its weapons systems powering up. Marcus and Sela exchange a determined look, their hands finding each other as they prepare for the next phase of their harrowing journey. Adventure. The ancient shuttle's engines strained as they burst out of Nyx's crumbling atmosphere, leaving behind a moon on the brink of destruction. But their fleeting moment of relief evaporated as quickly as it had come. "Adoshan ship, coming in fast!" Sela called out, her clawed hands dancing across the outdated control panel. Marcus's military instincts kicked in. He scrambled to the weapons console, familiarizing himself with the archaic systems. "I'll try to hold them off. Can you get us out of here?" Sela's scales rippled with purpose. "I have an idea, but it's risky." She banked the shuttle hard, diving into a dense asteroid field that surrounded Nyx. The Adoshan scout ship, sleeker and more advanced, gave chase. Its superior maneuverability allowed it to close the gap quickly. Marcus fired the shuttle's antiquated weapons, more to create obstacles than to cause damage. Asteroids exploded into clouds of debris, forcing their pursuer to weave and dodge. A violent jolt rocked the shuttle as an Adoshan energy blast found its mark. Alarms blared, and the acrid smell of burning circuitry filled the cockpit. "Hull breach!" Sela shouted over the cacophony. "We're losing atmosphere!" They scrambled for the emergency spacesuits stored beneath their seats, donning them with practiced efficiency. The shuttle's artificial gravity fluctuated as they worked to seal the breach. Their bodies pressed close in the confined space. Despite the dire circumstances, Marcus found himself acutely aware of Sela's proximity. Her alien physiology, so different yet oddly familiar, sent a thrill through him that had nothing to do with their perilous situation. Another blast from the Adoshan ship sent them spiraling. As Sela fought to regain control, a massive explosion lit up the viewscreen. Nyx's unstable core had finally given way, tearing the moon apart in a spectacular burst of energy. The shockwave slammed into both vessels, sending them tumbling through space. As Marcus clung to his station, he spotted something through the chaotic swirl of debris and energy. "Sela, look!" he shouted, pointing to a swirling vortex of light that had appeared where Nyx once was. "Is that a wormhole?" Sela's eyes widened in recognition. "The moon's explosion must have created a spatial anomaly. It's our only chance." With the Adoshan ship temporarily incapacitated by the shockwave, Sela steered their damaged shuttle towards the wormhole. The swirling maw of energy engulfed them, plunging them into a maelstrom of light and chaos. The journey through the wormhole defied description. Reality seemed to bend and twist around them. The shuttle's systems fluctuated wildly, and for heart-stopping moments, life support failed completely. Marcus and Sela clung to each other, their bodies entwined as much for survival as for comfort. Strange sensations washed over them. Marcus felt as if his consciousness was melding with Sela's, glimpsing fragments of her memories and emotions. The boundaries between human and Draconis blurred, deepening their connection in ways he couldn't begin to comprehend. With a final, gut-wrenching lurch, they burst out of the wormhole. The familiar starscape had been replaced by an alien configuration of celestial bodies. The shuttle's navigation systems, overtaxed by the journey, sputtered and died. "Where are we?" Marcus asked, his voice hoarse. Sela shook her head, her usual confidence shaken. "I don't know. We're completely off any star charts I recognize." As they worked to get their bearings, a new alert caught their attention. A massive ship was approaching their position, dwarfing their tiny shuttle. "It's not Draconis," Sela said, studying the readouts, "and definitely not Adoshan." The unknown vessel engulfed their shuttle in a powerful tractor beam, drawing them inexorably towards its cavernous docking bay. As the bay repressurized, Marcus and Sela exchanged a tense look. They had escaped one danger only to face another, potentially greater unknown. They exited their battered shuttle, makeshift weapons at the ready. The docking bay was a marvel of unfamiliar technology, a seamless blend of organic and mechanical elements. A group of beings approached, and Marcus felt his jaw drop in astonishment. These aliens appeared to be hybrids of humans and Draconis, with characteristics of both species clearly visible. They moved with a fluid grace, their skin a palette of muted earth tones and subtle scaling. One of the hybrids, a female with striking green eyes, stepped forward. "Welcome," she said, her voice carrying hints of both human and Draconis speech patterns. "I am Zara. We've been expecting you." Marcus and Selah exchanged puzzled glances. How could these hybrids have been expecting them? Zara smiled, seeing their confusion. "You have questions? As do we. Come, there is much to discuss, and I'm afraid time is not on our side." As they followed Zara deeper into the hybrid ship, alarms began to blare. Zara's expression tightened. "It seems your pursuers were more persistent than we anticipated. The Adosians have followed you through the wormhole." Marcus and Selah shared a look of perseverance. Their journey had taken an unexpected turn, but one thing was clear. Their adventure was just getting started. New allies, old enemies, and the weight of two civilizations' futures now rested on their shoulders. Their eyes met, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Zara led them through winding corridors of the hybrid ship, its design a perfect fusion of human and Draconis aesthetics. As they walked, Marcus couldn't help but marvel at the beings around them, living proof of what he and Selah could become. Their briefing was cut short by the blaring of alarms. Zara's face tightened with concern. "The Adosians, they've followed you through the wormhole." Marcus's military instincts kicked in immediately. "What are our defenses?" "We have advanced technology, but we've never faced a threat like this," Zara admitted. Selah stepped forward, her scales shimmering with dedication. "Then we'll have to improvise. We need to combine our strengths, human, Draconis, and hybrid." Over the next few hours, Marcus found himself at the center of a whirlwind of activity. He drew upon years of tactical experience, coordinating with the hybrid leaders to organize their defenses. The ship's war room became a hive of activity, with Marcus at its heart, directing resources and devising strategies. Meanwhile, Selah immersed herself in the hybrid scientific labs. The genetic data they had salvaged from the ancient Draconis facility proved invaluable. Working alongside the brilliant hybrid scientists, she raced against time to develop a biological weapon that could target the Adosians without harming their allies. As the Adosian fleet approached, tension mounted throughout the ship. Marcus stood on the bridge, watching the enemy vessels materialize on the screen. He turned to the hybrid helmsman. "Activate the cloaking technology. Let's see if we can confuse their sensors." The ship shimmered and vanished from view. On the tactical display, Marcus watched as the Adosian ships scattered, searching for their suddenly invisible target. Selah's voice crackled over the comm. "Marcus, we've done it. The virus is ready, but we'll need to deliver it directly into their ventilation systems." "Understood," Marcus replied. "I'm sending a strike team to you now. You'll lead them in." Minutes later, Selah piloted a sleek stealth shuttle out of the hybrid ship's launch bay. Her small team of hybrids moved with practiced efficiency, their unique physiology allowing them to withstand the extreme maneuvers necessary to evade Adosian fire. From the bridge, Marcus coordinated the defense. "All units engage. Draw their fire away from Selah's team." The space around them erupted into chaos. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, and explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. Through it all, Selah's shuttle wove a treacherous path towards the Adosian flagship. Suddenly, a massive impact rocked the hybrid ship. Alarms blared as systems failed across multiple decks. "Hull breach in Section 7!" a crew member shouted. Marcus's blood ran cold. Section 7, where he had stationed a crucial part of their defense grid. Without hesitation, he sprinted from the bridge, racing towards the damaged area. The corridor leading to Section 7 was a nightmare of twisted metal and sparking circuitry. Emergency force fields flickered, struggling to contain the atmosphere. Marcus pushed through, his lungs burning as the air thinned. He reached the defense station just as the last force field failed. The rush of escaping air slammed him against a bulkhead. His vision blurred as he gasped for breath, fighting to stay conscious long enough to reactivate the station. As darkness closed in, Marcus heard a familiar voice calling his name. Selah's face swam into view, her eyes wide with fear. She pressed something against his face, a breathing apparatus of some kind. Air flooded his lungs, but it tasted strange, alien. "Hold on, Marcus," Sela's voice seemed to come from far away. "This will keep you alive, but your body will need time to adjust." He felt himself being lifted, carried to safety. As consciousness slipped away, his last thought was of Sela, hoping she had succeeded in her mission. Marcus awoke in the hybrid medical bay, his body feeling strangely different. Sela sat beside him, her scaled hand clasped tightly around his. As his vision cleared, he noticed subtle changes in her appearance. Or was it his perception that had changed? "What happened?" he croaked, his voice rough. Sela's eyes shimmered with relief. "We won. The biological weapon worked. The Adosians were forced to retreat." She paused, her expression growing serious. "But Marcus, to save you, I had to use hybrid technology. It's changed you." Before Marcus could process this information, Zara entered the room. Her face was grave, but there was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. "We owe you both a great debt," she said. "And now we must ask for your help once more. We've discovered a way to stabilize our genetic code, but it requires something only you can provide." As Zara explained the ritual that could save the hybrid civilization, Marcus and Sela exchanged glances. The weight of the decision before them was immense, but so was the depth of their connection. Their contemplation was interrupted by a new alert. On a nearby screen, a massive object appeared at the edge of the star system, an ancient space station of immense proportions. Zara's eyes widened. "By the stars! Could this be a remnant of our shared ancestors?" Marcus and Sela stood, their bodies instinctively moving closer together. They faced not only a decision that would alter their lives forever, but also a new mystery that could unravel the very foundations of their civilizations. As alarms sounded once more, signaling the detection of the ancient station, Marcus and Sela knew their adventure was just the beginning. With the hybrid leaders looking to them for guidance and the unstable wormhole offering a tenuous link to their home, they prepared to make choices that would shape the future of three interconnected species. Civilizations. The weight of their responsibility settled upon them like a tangible force. Marcus turned to Sela, their eyes meeting in silent communication. They both knew what had to be done. "Zara," Marcus said, his voice steady despite the turmoil within, "we're ready to help. What do we need to do?" Zara's expression softened with gratitude. "The ritual requires both of you to undergo a genetic merging process. It's not without risk, but it's our only hope for stabilizing our people's DNA." Sela stepped forward, her scales shimmering with drive. "We understand the risks. Let's proceed." The hybrid leaders guided Marcus and Sela to an elaborate chamber filled with pulsating biotechnology. As they entered, the air hummed with energy, making the hair on Marcus's arm stand on end. "You'll need to disrobe," Zara instructed, gesturing to two biobeds covered in a strange gelatinous substance. Marcus and Sela exchanged a glance, then began to remove their clothing. As they lay down on the beds, the gel began to envelop their bodies, its cool touch sending shivers through them. The chamber sealed with a soft hiss, and a series of lights began to pulse overhead. Harmonic frequencies resonated through the room, vibrating through Marcus's very bones. As the ritual began in earnest, Marcus felt an intense burning sensation coursing through his veins. He gritted his teeth, fighting the urge to cry out. Beside him, Sela's body arched off the bed, her scales rippling with waves of iridescent color. Through the haze of pain, Marcus became aware of strange sensations overtaking his body. His skin tingled and itched as it began to develop a subtle, scale-like texture. He watched in fascination as Sela's features softened, becoming more human-like even as she retained her alien beauty. Just as the pain reached a crescendo, a violent tremor shook the chamber. Alarms blared, and Marcus heard muffled shouts from outside. "The wormhole!" Zara's voice came through a speaker, tight with worry. "It's destabilizing, causing power fluctuations." Marcus tried to speak, but his throat wouldn't cooperate. He could feel the merging process faltering, leaving him caught between two states of being. Panic clawed at his mind as he realized they might be trapped in this half-transformed state forever. Suddenly, a blinding light filled the chamber. The ancient space station they had detected earlier pulsed with energy, sending out a wave that washed over the hybrid ship. As it passed through the ritual chamber, Marcus felt a surge of power unlike anything he had ever experienced. The merging process accelerated, guided by the ancient energy. Marcus's vision blurred, his consciousness expanding beyond the confines of his body. For a moment he could feel Sayla's thoughts, her emotions, as clearly as his own. When the light faded, Marcus found himself able to move again. He sat up, marveling at his transformed body. His skin now had a subtle iridescent sheen, while retaining its human flexibility. He turned to Sayla, gasping at her beauty. She was a perfect blend of human and Draconis traits, her eyes shimmering with an otherworldly intelligence. "Marcus," Sayla whispered, her voice carrying a new melodious quality. "I can feel you in my mind." Before he could respond, the chamber door slid open. Zara rushed in, her face a mix of awe and urgency. "It worked," she breathed, quickly taking genetic samples from both of them. "But we have no time to celebrate. The ancient station's energy pulse has activated automated defense systems throughout the system. We're under attack." As if to emphasize her words, the ship shuddered under the impact of weapons fire. Marcus and Sayla leapt to their feet, surprised by their newfound agility and strength. "We need to get to the bridge," Marcus said, instinctively reaching for Sayla's hand. As their fingers intertwined, he felt a surge of shared purpose and drive. They raced through the corridors of the hybrid ship, their enhanced senses allowing them to navigate the chaos with ease. Crew members rushed past, some already showing signs of the genetic cure derived from Marcus and Sayla's merged DNA. On the bridge, they found a scene of controlled panic. The view screen showed a swarm of sleek, ancient weapon platforms converging on their position. Beyond them, the wormhole pulsed ominously, its edges fraying like a torn fabric in space. "We're caught between two impossible choices," Zara said as they entered. "We can stay and fight, possibly saving our people, but losing our chance to return home. Or we can attempt to stabilize the wormhole and escape, leaving our ancestors' legacy behind." Marcus and Sayla shared a glance, their newfound telepathic link allowing them to communicate without words. They turned to Zara, speaking in unison. "We fight." As they moved to take command of the ship's defenses, a new alert caught their attention. Long-range sensors had detected a massive fleet entering the system, drawn by the energy pulse from the ancient station. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine as he realized the true scope of the challenge before them. They now faced not only the automated defenses of their ancestors, but also the approach of an unknown, technologically advanced alien race. As Sayla began coordinating the hybrid ship's evasive maneuvers, Marcus felt a strange tingling in his fingertips. On instinct, he reached out and touched the ship's control panel. To his amazement, he found he could interface directly with the ship's systems, his thoughts translating into commands faster than any physical input could achieve. "Sayla!" he called out, excitement overriding the gravity of their situation for a moment. "Try connecting with the ship's sensors. I think our merger has given us new abilities." Sayla's eyes widened as she made the connection, her mind expanding to encompass the ship's vast sensor array. "Marcus, I can sense the ancient station. It's calling to us." Their eyes met, a silent understanding passing between them. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, their bodies and minds now inexorably linked. As they prepared to board the ancient space station, Marcus and Sayla stood at the precipice of a journey that would redefine not just their own existence, but the very nature of their species and their place in the universe. With renewed purpose, Marcus and Sayla sprinted toward the docking bay, their enhanced bodies moving with fluid grace. As they approached the airlock connecting the hybrid ship to the ancient space station, Marcus felt a surge of anticipation coursing through his veins. He glanced at Sayla, her scales shimmering with an otherworldly iridescence, and saw his own excitement mirrored in her eyes. "Ready?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Sayla nodded, her hand finding his. Together. The airlock cycled open with a soft hiss, revealing a dimly lit corridor stretching before them. As they stepped inside, their team close behind, the station seemed to come alive. Lights flickered on, illuminating sleek, curved walls adorned with intricate patterns that pulsed with a soft blue glow. Suddenly, the air before them shimmered, coalescing into translucent figures. Marcus gasped, instinctively stepping back. The holographic projections stood tall, their features a perfect blend of human and draconis traits. "Welcome, children," one of the figures spoke, its voice resonating with an ageless wisdom. "I am the curator, caretaker of this repository." Marcus found his voice, stepping forward. "We seek answers about our origins and a way to save our people." The curator's eyes, glowing with an inner light, fixed upon Marcus and Sela. "Fascinating. Your genetic structure. It's a perfect merger. You represent the culmination of our creator's work." "Creators?" Sela asked, her tail twitching with curiosity. The hologram nodded, gesturing for them to follow. As they walked, the curator explained, "Humans and draconis were part of a grand experiment conducted by the precursors, a race far more advanced than any you've encountered. Their goal was to create species capable of thriving in diverse environments across the galaxy." The corridor opened into a vast chamber, its walls lined with countless suspended animation pods. Each pod contained a different life form, some recognizably humanoid, others utterly alien. "This station is a genetic repository," the curator continued. "It houses samples of various experimental species, including early versions of humans and draconas." Marcus approached one of the pods, his breath fogging the transparent surface. Inside, he saw a being that looked almost human, save for the hints of scales along its arms and a slightly elongated skull. A violent tremor shook the station, nearly knocking them off their feet. The curator's expression grew grave. "The Guardians have arrived. They are an offshoot of the precursors, tasked with protecting these genetic repositories. However, they have become overzealous, often destroying civilizations they perceive as threats to genetic purity." Sela's eyes widened in alarm. "Is there a way to communicate with them? To show them we're not a threat?" The curator nodded, leading them to a central control hub. "We can broadcast a signal using the station's technology. Your merged DNA could prove that you represent a successful outcome of the precursor's experiment." As Marcus interfaced with the station's systems, using his newfound abilities to prepare the broadcast, another tremor rocked the structure. An alarm blared through the comm system. "The hybrid ship is under attack from the station's automated defenses," one of their team members reported. Marcus concentrated, reaching out with his mind to deactivate the ancient weapons. He gritted his teeth, feeling the strain of controlling such complex systems. "I've shut them down, but not before the ship took some damage." The curator's image flickered, its voice tinged with urgency. "The wormhole's stability is failing. If you wish to return to your home galaxy, you must do so soon." Sela's face fell, torn between their mission and the wealth of knowledge before them. "But what about the hybrid civilization and all this information?" Before the curator could respond, a new alert caught their attention. The station's long-range sensors had detected multiple Idosian ships entering the system. "They must have followed the Guardians," Marcus realized, his mind racing. "We're caught in the middle of a three-way battle." As they grappled with this new development, the curator revealed one last piece of information. "This station contains technology capable of creating new wormholes. With study, you could potentially return home at a later time." Marcus and Sela exchanged glances, the weight of their decision pressing down upon them. Stay and protect the station, using its advanced technology to repel both the Guardians and Idosians, or stabilize the wormhole to ensure their return home, potentially sacrificing the station and the hybrid civilization. Their contemplation was interrupted by a transmission from the hybrid ship. "The genetic cure has fully stabilized our population." Zara's voice crackled through the comm. "We pledge to protect this station and its knowledge. You must return home and warn your people of the truths you've learned here." As alarms blared and the sounds of battle echoed through the station, Marcus and Sela stood at the precipice of a decision that would shape the future of three species. Time was running out, and the fate of civilizations hung in the balance. Marcus took a deep breath, his enhanced senses picking up the faint scent of ozone from overworked systems. He turned to Sela, their eyes meeting in silent communication. Whatever they decided, they would face it together. Curator, Marcus said, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. Show us how to stabilize the wormhole. We need to stabilize the wormhole. We need to get back and warn our people. The curator nodded, its holographic form flickering as another tremor shook the station. Very well. Follow me to the power core. As they raced through the twisting corridors, Marcus felt a pang of regret. They were about to leave behind a treasure trove of knowledge and an entire civilization they had inadvertently created. But the urgency of their situation left no room for second thoughts. The power core chamber was a massive spherical room, pulsing with energy. The curator guided them to a control panel, its surface coming to life at Marcus's touch. Initiating wormhole stabilization, Marcus announced, his fingers dancing across the interface. He could feel the station's systems responding to his commands, the merge granting him an unprecedented level of control. Sela stood beside him, her eyes closed in concentration. I'm coordinating with the hybrid ship. They're preparing for our departure. As the stabilization process began, alarms blared throughout the station. The curator's image flickered more intensely. Warning, Guardian fleet detected on approach. Estimated time to arrival, 10 minutes. Marcus cursed under his breath. We need more time. Sela, can you access the station's defense systems? Sela nodded, her hands moving in tandem with Marcus's as they worked in perfect synchronization. A powerful shield shimmered into existence around the station and the hybrid ship, its energy signature causing the nearby consoles to spark and smoke. Shield activated, Sela reported, but it's draining the station's power reserves rapidly. We won't have long. Marcus turned to their team. Download as much data as you can from the curator's database. Focus on genetic information and historical records. As their team scrambled to salvage what they could, Marcus received an incoming transmission from the hybrid ship. Zara's face appeared on a nearby screen, her expression a mix of purpose and concern. Marcus, Sela, we've been analyzing the station's genetic repository, Zara said, her words tumbling out in a rush. We believe we can synthesize a biological agent that could temporarily incapacitate both the Guardians and the Adotians. It's non-lethal, but it should buy us the time we need. Sela's eyes lit up. That's brilliant, Zara. Send us the formula. We'll use the station's labs to produce it while the wormhole stabilizes. The next few minutes were a blur of activity. Marcus divided his attention between monitoring the wormhole stabilization and overseeing the download of crucial data. Sela worked with the hybrid scientists via long-range communication, her merge biology allowing her to grasp complex genetic concepts with astonishing speed. Just as they finished synthesizing the biological agent, the station shuddered violently. The curator's image appeared, its voice urgent. Guardian fleet has engaged. The Adotians have also entered the system. A three-way battle has begun. Marcus looked at Sela, seeing his own dedication mirrored in her eyes. It's time. Let's get back to the ship. They sprinted towards the docking bay, the biological agent securely stored in the specialized containers. As they ran, Marcus interfaced with the station's weapon systems, programming a series of missiles to deliver their payload. The scene that greeted them as they boarded the hybrid ship was one of controlled chaos. The view screen showed a spectacular and terrifying sight, Guardian and Adosian ships exchanging fire, with the ancient space station caught in the middle. Launch the missiles, Marcus commanded as soon as they were safely aboard. A volley of missiles streaked from the hybrid ship, detonating in carefully calculated patterns among the enemy fleets. Within moments, the biological agent began to take effect. Guardian and Adosian ships alike began to drift, their crews disoriented and incapacitated. Wormhole stabilization at 98%, Sela reported, her hands flying over the ship's controls. The station is powering down. It's now or never. Marcus nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation. Take us in. The hybrid ship detached from the ancient station, which was now dark and silent, its energy fully committed to maintaining the wormhole. As they approached the swirling vortex, Marcus took one last look at the battle-scarred system behind them. Hold on, everyone, Sela called out. This could get rough. The ship plunged into the wormhole, leaving behind the chaos of battle and the remnants of their ancestors' legacy. As they hurtled through the turbulent passage between galaxies, Marcus and Scylla worked feverishly to analyze the data they had salvaged from the curator. Suddenly, Scylla gasped, her eyes wide with shock. "Marcus, look at this genetic analysis. The modifications we underwent during our merging, they've activated dormant genes from the original precursor experiments." Marcus leaned in, his mind racing as he processed the implications. Enhanced regeneration, extended lifespans. "Scylla, do you realize what this means?" Before she could respond, the ship's long-range sensors began to beep urgently. They were approaching the exit point of the wormhole, but what lay beyond made their hearts sink. The view screen flickered to life, revealing a massive space battle in full swing. Human and Draconis fleets clashed in a deadly dance, energy weapons lighting up the void between them. "They've gone to war," Scylla whispered, her voice heavy with dismay. "They must have misinterpreted each other's actions in our absence." Marcus gripped the edge of the console, his enhanced mind already formulating a plan. "We need to stop this before it's too late. Prepare a system-wide broadcast. We'll use our merge biology as proof of what's possible when our species work together." As Scylla began to configure the communication array, the hybrid ship burst out of the wormhole and into the heart of the battle. For a moment, both human and Draconis ships paused, confused by the sudden appearance of an unknown vessel. That moment of confusion didn't last long. A rogue Draconis warship, its captain too eager for battle, fired a volley of energy torpedoes at the hybrid ship. The impact rocked the vessel, sending cascades of sparks flying from damaged consoles. "Critical damage to our port side," one of the crew shouted. "Communications array is offline." Marcus and Scylla shared a look of dedication. They knew what they had to do. Without a word, they both headed for the airlock, their bodies already beginning to heal from the minor injuries sustained in the attack. As they prepared to venture out into the vacuum of space to repair the communication array manually, Marcus couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. Once again, they were racing against time to prevent a catastrophe, but this time the stakes were even higher. The fate of 3 species, human, Draconis, and hybrid, now rested on their ability to repair the ship and broadcast their message before it was too late. As they donned their spacesuits, Marcus and Scylla knew that the real challenge was only just beginning. As they donned their spacesuits, Marcus and Scylla knew that the real challenge was only just starting. They stepped into the airlock, the hiss of pressurization giving way to the eerie silence of space as they emerged onto the hull of the hybrid ship. The battle raged around them, energy weapons flashing in the void, but their focus remained on the damaged communications array. Marcus's enhanced vision quickly identified the problem. A key component had been sheared off by the Draconis attack. He gestured to Scylla, who produced a replacement part from her utility belt. As they worked in tandem, their movements fluid and precise, Marcus couldn't help but marvel at how naturally they functioned together. The merge had done more than just combine their DNA. It had created a level of understanding between them that transcended words. With a final adjustment, the array hummed back to life. They rushed back inside, sealing the airlock behind them. "Communications restored," Scylla announced as they re-entered the bridge, her fingers flying over the controls. "Broadcasting now." The main view screen flickered to life, displaying their merged form to every ship in the battle. The effect was immediate. Both human and Draconis vessels ceased fire, confusion rippling through their ranks at the sight of a being that was both familiar and alien. Marcus leaned towards the communication panel, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "This is Marcus Chen of the United Earth Fleet and Scylla, daughter of Emperor Zok of the Draconis Empire. We come with urgent news that concerns the future of both our species." As they spoke, detailing their journey, the ancient space station, and the true history of their races, the battle around them ground to a halt. Ships hung motionless in space, crews transfixed by the incredible tale unfolding before them. "We are not enemies," Scylla continued, her eyes scanning the fleet formations. "We are descendants of the same precursor race, separated by time and space, but united in our core genetic makeup." The silence that followed was deafening. Then, without warning, alarms blared across the hybrid ship's bridge. "Multiple vessels breaking formation," one of the crew reported. "They're on an intercept course." Marcus's eyes narrowed as he recognized the lead human ship. "That's Admiral Thorne's vessel. He's not going to let go of this war easily." Sela's face hardened as she identified the approaching Draconis ships. "And that's General Zex's battle group. It seems not everyone is ready to accept peace." With the hybrid ship still reeling from the earlier attack, evasion was impossible. Marcus and Sela shared a look of understanding. Without a word, they moved to opposite sides of the bridge, placing their hands on interface panels. As the hostile ships closed in, Marcus and Sela closed their eyes, their enhanced minds reaching out to the ship's systems. Energy coursed through the vessel, coalescing into a shimmering field that expanded outward. The approaching ships entered the field, their momentum carrying them forward even as their systems began to falter. On their bridges, crew members staggered, suddenly disoriented and unable to maintain their hostile approach. The display of advanced technology, coupled with Marcus and Sela's visible transformation, sent shockwaves through both fleets. Doubt crept into the minds of even the most hardened warriors. Just as the situation seemed to be stabilizing, a new alarm sounded. Long-range sensors had detected anomalies at the edge of the solar system, telltale signs of incoming Guardian or Adosian forces. Marcus's voice cut through the tension. "To all ships, we have a new threat approaching. Our time for internal conflict has run out." The hybrid ship systems, pushed beyond their limits, began to fail. Consoles sparked and emergency lights flashed. "We need to evacuate," Sela said, her calm voice belying the urgency of the situation. She opened a channel to the human flagship. "This is Sela of the Draconis Empire. We request permission to dock." There was a moment of hesitation before a gruff voice responded. "Permission granted. Extending docking clamps now." As the hybrid ship maneuvered towards the human vessel, Marcus and Sela worked feverishly to transmit the data they'd collected from the ancient space station to both fleets. "This information contains proof of our shared origins," Marcus explained over the open channel. "It also holds the key to technologies that could defend us against the incoming threat." The docking procedure complete, Marcus and Sela led their team across the connection bridge. As they stepped onto the human flagship, they found themselves face to face with Admiral Thorne and a contingent of armed guards. Thorne's eyes widened as he took in Marcus's transformed appearance. "My God, Chen, what have you become?" Marcus met his former superior's gaze steadily. "The future, Admiral. And right now, that future is all that stands between us and extinction." As if to punctuate his words, a priority transmission cut through the ship's communications. Emperor Zock's face appeared on the main screen, his expression a mix of shock and perseverance. "I have reviewed the data sent by my daughter," the Draconis leader announced. "In light of this new information and the approaching threat, I propose an immediate summit to discuss an alliance." Admiral Thorne looked from the screen to Marcus and Sela, then back again. Finally, he nodded. "Agreed. We'll convene on the neutral station at Lagrange Point 3. As preparations for the summit began, Marcus and Sela found themselves at the center of a whirlwind of activity. Human and Draconis scientists clamored for their insights, eager to unravel the secrets hidden in the precursor data. Their unique physiology allowed them to bridge the gap between human and Draconis scientific approaches. Ideas flowed freely, leading to several breakthrough discoveries that could prove crucial in the coming conflict. Hours later, Marcus and Sela stood on the bridge of the human flagship, watching as a joint human-Draconis task force assembled. Ships that had been locked in deadly combat mere hours ago now moved in formation, preparing to investigate the anomalies at the edge of the solar system. As they observed the unprecedented cooperation unfolding before them, Marcus turned to Sela. "This is just the beginning, isn't it?" Sela nodded, her eyes fixed on the stars beyond. "The real test lies ahead, but at least now we face it together." The flagship's engines thrummed to life, propelling them towards an uncertain future. As they moved to join the task force, Marcus and Sela knew that their journey, and the challenges it would bring, was just getting started. As they approached the neutral space station orbiting a gas giant, Marcus and Sella exchanged a glance, silently acknowledging the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. The docking procedure completed with a soft thud, and they disembarked onto the station. The circular chamber buzzed with tension as human and Draconis delegates eyed each other warily, their recent conflicts still fresh in their minds. Admiral Thorne approached them, his face a mask of carefully controlled neutrality. "Chen, Princess Sela, you're up. Make it count." They stepped onto the raised platform at the center of the room. Marcus activated the holographic display, while Sela interfaced with the Draconis systems. The air shimmered as a three-dimensional representation of DNA strands materialized before the assembled delegates. "Esteemed representatives," Marcus began, his voice steady, "what you see before you is the genetic blueprint of our shared ancestry." Sela continued seamlessly. "Our expedition to the ancient space station revealed a truth long hidden from both our species. Humans and Drachnes are not just compatible. We are family." As they delved into the details of the precursor experiments, the holographic display shifted, showing the evolution of both species from a common ancestor. The delegates leaned forward, their expressions a mix of fascination and disbelief. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. A human technician rushed to Admiral Thorne, her face pale. "Sir, long-range sensors have detected multiple wormholes opening at the edge of the solar system." The chamber erupted into chaos as both humans and Draconis scrambled to their stations. The holographic display flickered, now showing a tactical view of the system. A massive fleet emerged from the wormholes, led by a colossal mothership that dwarfed even the largest vessels in the combined human-Draconis armada. "The Guardians," Sela breathed, her eyes wide. Marcus's mind raced, processing the tactical data flowing through the merged precursor technology in his body. He turned to the assembled leaders, his voice cutting through the panic. "We have a plan, but it will require complete cooperation between our species." As Marcus outlined their proposal to create an energy field using precursor technology, skepticism rippled through the crowd. A Draconis general hissed, "How can we trust human science?" Sela stepped forward, her stance proud and determined. "Because it's not just human science, it's our science. The science of the precursors, which flows through both our veins." With the Guardian fleet advancing, the leaders had no choice but to agree. The station became a flurry of activity as human and Draconis scientists were paired off, their workstations hastily reconfigured to accommodate their different physiologies. Marcus and Sela moved between the teams, their unique merged form allowing them to bridge communication gaps and grit conflicts. As they worked, the first waves of Guardian ships entered the system, their weapons flaring to life. Admiral Thorne's voice crackled over the comms. "Chen, we need you on the bridge. The fleets are struggling to coordinate." Marcus glanced at Sela, who nodded. "Go. I'll oversee the energy field project." On the bridge of the human flagship, Marcus found himself facing a wall of tactical displays, showing the unfolding battle. Human and Draconis ships moved awkwardly around each other, their formations disjointed and vulnerable. Marcus closed his eyes, reaching out with his enhanced senses to interface with the ship's systems. In his mind, he saw the battlefield laid out like a three-dimensional chess game. He began issuing orders, his voice calm but authoritative. "Cruiser Squadron Delta, form up on the Draconis heavy destroyers. Draconis fighters, provide close support for our carriers." As the battle raged, the fleet slowly began to work in concert. Guardian ships breached the outer defenses, their advanced weapons tearing through shields and armor. Back on the station, Sela oversaw the final calibrations of the energy field generators. "Prepare for field activation on my mark," she commanded, her fingers dancing over the control panel. A blinding flash lit up the viewport as a Guardian beam weapon obliterated a human cruiser. Sela gritted her teeth. "Mark!" The energy field sprang to life, a shimmering bubble expanding rapidly outward from the station. As it washed over the battling fleets, Guardian weapons sputtered and died, their drive systems faltering. Marcus felt the change immediately. "All ships, press the advantage. Concentrate fire on their primary systems." As the tide of battle began to turn, Marcus and Sela reconvened on the station. They shared a look of dogged tenacity. The energy field won't hold them forever, Marcus said. Sela nodded. We need to end this decisively. The mothership is the key. They quickly outlined their plan to Admiral Thorne and Emperor Zoc. Despite their reservations, both leaders agreed. It was their best shot at victory. In a specially modified shuttle, Marcus and Sela led a small team towards the massive Guardian mothership. The shuttle's precursor-derived cloaking technology rendered them invisible to the Guardian sensors. As they approached the titanic vessel, Marcus couldn't help but feel a sense of awe mixed with trepidation. They were about to venture into the heart of an alien threat that had kept two powerful species at each other's throats for generations. The shuttle glided silently into a vast docking bay, touching down amidst rows of Guardian fighters. As the team disembarked, Marcus and Sela's enhanced senses tingled with alien energy signatures. This way, Sela whispered, her merged biology instinctively interpreting the ship's layout. They moved through shadowed corridors, their footsteps muffled by the strange, organic-looking floor. Marcus's hand brushed against a wall, and he felt a pulse of energy beneath his fingers. The ship, he murmured, it's alive. As they pressed deeper into the Guardian mothership, the true nature of their adversaries began to reveal itself. Through glimpses into chambers and laboratories, they saw Guardians in various stages of biomechanical fusion, organic beings merged with advanced technology. Like us, Sela said softly, but taken to an extreme. They reached a massive door pulsing with energy. Beyond it lay the central control chamber, and the key to ending this war once and for all. Marcus placed his hand on the alien interface, his merged biology allowing him to bypass the security protocols. The door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a vast chamber filled with swirling holographic displays and pulsing organic machinery. As they stepped inside, ready to seize control of the mothership, alarms blared throughout the vessel. Guardian security forces were closing in, and the fate of two species, perhaps the entire galaxy, hung in the balance. Marcus and Sela shared a determined look. This was it, the moment that would define the future of human and Draconis alike. They moved deeper into the control chamber, prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Ahead, the Guardian security forces were mere moments away from breaching the control chamber. Marcus's fingers danced across the alien interface, his merged biology allowing him to navigate the complex systems with surprising ease. Sela stood beside him, her eyes darting between the various holographic displays, absorbing and interpreting the flood of information. There, Sela exclaimed, pointing to a pulsing node in the center of the room. That's the primary control nexus. Marcus nodded, reaching out with both his physical hand and his enhanced senses. As he made contact with the nexus, a surge of energy coursed through his body. The entire ship seemed to shudder, and the incoming Guardian forces suddenly fell silent. "What did you do?" Sela asked, her eyes wide. "I'm not entirely sure," Marcus replied, his voice filled with awe. "But I think we just took control of the mothership." As if in response to his words, the holographic displays shifted, showing the status of the Guardian fleet. The energy field they had deployed earlier had done its work. The vast majority of the Guardian ships were now inert, floating harmlessly in space. Marcus and Sela shared a look of triumph before turning their attention to the ship's communication systems. With a few deft movements, Marcus opened a channel to both the human Draconis Alliance and the remaining Guardian ships. "Attention all forces," Marcus began, his voice echoing through the vastness of space. "This is Marcus Chen and Princess Sela. We have taken control of the Guardian mothership and wish to broadcast a message of utmost importance." Sela stepped forward, her regal bearing evident even through the video feed. "What we are about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about our species and our place in the galaxy." Over the next few minutes, Marcus and Sela laid out the truth they had discovered. The shared origins of humans and Draconis, the true nature of the Guardian's mission, and the potential for cooperation that lay before them. As they spoke, they could see the shock and disbelief rippling through both fleets. Admiral Thorne's face appeared on one of the displays, his expression a mix of amazement and confusion. "Chen, if what you're saying is true—" "It is, Admiral," Marcus assured him. "And there's more." As the Guardian crews began to recover from the effects of the energy field, Marcus and Sela made a bold decision. They initiated direct communication with the Guardian leadership, their merged form allowing them to bypass the usual protocols and language barriers. "We propose a new approach," Sela announced, her voice firm and clear. "Instead of resetting civilizations deemed failures, allow us to demonstrate the power of natural evolution and cooperation between species." Marcus nodded, adding, "We can create stronger, more adaptable galactic civilizations through collaboration rather than isolation and conflict." To prove their point, Marcus and Sela approached the Guardian mothership's advanced biological interface. As they connected themselves to the system, their merged physiology lit up with a brilliant glow. The interface, designed to read genetic potential, began to hum and pulse with energy. "What you're seeing," Marcus explained to the stunned Guardian leaders, "is the result of human and Draconis traits, combining to create something greater than the sum of its parts." The interface's displays erupted with data, showing the incredible potential of their merged form. The Guardian leaders watched in fascination as the system registered Marcus and Sela's hybrid physiology as a highly successful evolutionary outcome. For several tense moments, silence reigned. Then slowly the Guardian leaders began to respond. Their initial skepticism gave way to curiosity, then to a grudging respect for what Marcus and Sela had achieved. "This was not anticipated in our models," one of the Guardian leaders admitted. "Perhaps there is merit to your proposal." As discussions continued, a temporary ceasefire was agreed upon. The Guardian leaders, intrigued by the unexpected success of the human-Draconis merger, expressed a desire to study this phenomenon further. In the days that followed, a grand council was convened aboard the Guardian mothership. Representatives from humans, Draconas, Guardians, and even the hybrid civilization that Marcus and Sela had encountered earlier gathered to debate the future of galactic relations. Marcus and Sela found themselves at the center of attention, living proof of the potential that lay in genetic exchange and cooperation between species. As they stood before the assembled delegates, hand in hand, they could feel the weight of history on their shoulders. "We stand before you today," Marcus began, his voice steady and clear, "as a testament to what can be achieved when we embrace our differences rather than fear them." Sela continued, her eyes scanning the diverse crowd. "We propose a new galactic order, one where the exchange of genetic material and cultural ideas is not only allowed but encouraged." The council chamber erupted into a flurry of debate. Some factions resisted the idea of change, clinging to old prejudices and fears. Others saw the potential for a new era of peace and prosperity. As the discussions raged on, Marcus and Sela found themselves constantly called upon to demonstrate the benefits of their merger. They showcased their enhanced abilities, their unique problem-solving skills, and the depth of understanding they had gained from their combined perspectives. Slowly but surely, the tide of opinion began to turn. The undeniable success of Marcus and Sela's merger, combined with the military strength demonstrated by the human-Draconis alliance, swayed even the most stubborn opponents. After days of intense negotiation, a historic agreement was reached. The Guardians would cease their mission of resetting civilizations and instead become facilitators of controlled genetic exchange programs between willing species. As the council came to a close, Marcus and Sela were approached by a joint delegation of human, Draconis, and Guardian leaders. Admiral Thorn, now standing side by side with Emperor Zok, addressed them with a mix of pride and trepidation. "In recognition of your unique status and the role you've played in bringing about this new era," Thorn began, "we have a proposition for you both." Emperor Zok nodded, his scaled features set in a solemn expression. "We would like to appoint you as the first galactic ambassadors, tasked with overseeing the implementation of these new genetic exchange programs." Marcus and Sela exchanged a look of surprise and purpose. They had come so far from their initial encounter, from a simple demonstration of human self-pleasure techniques to this moment that would shape the destiny of countless civilizations. "We accept," they said in unison, their voices blending in perfect harmony. As the council chamber erupted in applause, Marcus and Sela stood tall, their merged form a living symbol of the potential that lay in unity and cooperation. Their journey was far from finished. In fact, it was only just beginning. The newly appointed galactic ambassadors turned to face the viewport, gazing out at the stars that held so much promise and so many challenges. Their first mission awaited them, to return to the hybrid civilization's star system and reactivate the ancient space station, using its technology to establish a network of regulated wormholes connecting various species across the galaxy. As they prepared to embark on this new adventure, Marcus and Sella knew that the path ahead would be filled with obstacles and uncertainties. But together, as one merged being and as representatives of a new galactic order, they were ready to face whatever the universe had in store for them.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.